the War Powers Act requires Congress to step in and declare war or make this whole thing explicitly illegal. So the president has about until November 4th or 6th, depending on certain dates, to grant all its power for the first time in history. And so we're left with this run of this power from the executive branch that is untempered. And normally you have three coexisting branches of government, but right now you really have the executive branch that's dominating over the other two.
So Dave, if it's found to be illegal, what would accountability even look like for the president? And then could members of the military who've engaged in these actions, could they also face consequences? Or because their commander-in-chief told them to do it, they're off the hook?
Well, it is against international law, but really, what would those sanctions be? And it could be war crimes, but what would those sanctions be? President Trump seems to be above all of this. One of the reasons why this is so problematic is that it does seem that the people who have been killed here may have not been narco-terrorists at all. In fact, the two survivors of that one boat were then released into their home countries. If they really were narco-terrorists, the United States would have brought them into our country to put them on trial like we do for other narco-terrorists, or we would have sent them to Guantanamo Bay. But the United States did neither, which is why it's so troubling that it could be murder. But what would happen to the president? Well, ask the U.S. Supreme Court, Alex. They gave the president unprecedented immunity recently. So this is one reason why President Trump thinks he's a king.
Okay, so let's talk about Trump's legal setbacks in efforts to deploy National Guard troops to Oregon and Chicago. He's also backed off planned federal deployment to San Francisco now. At the same time, though, his deputy chief of staff and DOJ, they are threatening governors and blue state officials with arrest if they hold ICE agents accountable for criminal conduct on their streets. Do you see this as intimidation threats, Dave, and just escalating rhetoric, or can governors be charged for enforcing their state laws?
No, I mean, they could try to charge them, but it would be quickly dismissed by the courts. I mean, this is intimidation. Now, you see how the mayor of San Francisco approached it. That mayor approached it differently by talking to the president and saying, we understand where you're coming from, and we're going to step up our law enforcement here, and we'd love to have the help of ICE and other officials, but please, no military in the streets, and not one Trump over. But for those mayors and governors who are not being conciliatory to the president, what they get is the stick, not the carrot. What they get is threatened with arrest. Now, will that day actually come? I don't think so. But if